Imagine facing an army that had crushed empires from China to Europe. An army that left cities in ruins and kingdoms trembling. Now imagine not just surviving their attack, but beating them. Again, and again, and again. 8 times. Sounds impossible, right? Yet one kingdom figured out the formula. While the rest of the world fell to the Mongol storm, the Delhi Sultanate stood firm. They didn't just get lucky. They engineered victory through strategy, sacrifice, and sheer brilliance. So how did they do it? How did medieval India become the graveyard of Mongol ambitions? Let's uncover the untold strategy that saved a civilization. The story begins in the 1260s, during the reign of Sultan Balban. While most rulers would see refugees as a burden, Balban saw something else entirely, an opportunity disguised as desperation. A brutal civil war had erupted between 2 colossal Mongol factions, the Ilkhanate and the Golden Horde. These weren't small skirmishes. These were fragments of Genghis Khan's shattered empire tearing each other apart. Warriors, nobles, and strategists caught in the crossfire fled westward, searching for sanctuary. Balban opened Delhi's gates wide. But this wasn't charity. This was espionage at the highest level. By welcoming Mongol defectors, men who had fought for the empire, Balban gained something priceless: insider knowledge. He learned their battle formations, their psychological warfare, their strengths, and crucially, their weaknesses. He wasn't just building an army, he was reverse engineering the most feared war machine in human history. And it worked. Delhi's defenses grew sharper, his commanders began thinking like Mongols, anticipating their moves before they made them. But Balban's reign was just the foundation. The real transformation was yet to come. When Alauddin Khilji seized power in 1296, he inherited a kingdom under constant threat. The Mongols hadn't given up. They were probing, testing, waiting for weakness. Alauddin refused to give them any. He looked at the old feudal system, where local lords contributed soldiers when the Sultan asked nicely, and realized it was a disaster waiting to happen. Loyalty was fragile, troops were poorly trained, and rebellions were constant. So he tore the whole system down. In its place, he built something revolutionary, a standing professional army. Soldiers weren't part-time farmers anymore, they were full-time warriors, recruited directly by the state, trained rigorously, and paid from the royal treasury. And Alauddin didn't stop there. He implemented 2 systems that sound almost futuristic for the 13th century: Chera, facial identification records for every soldier. Think of it as medieval biometric registration. Dag, branding every warhorse with a unique mark to prevent fraud and ensure quality control. No corruption. No fake soldiers collecting ghost salaries. Just a lean, disciplined, and deadly fighting force. But an army this large comes with a massive problem: logistics. You can't fight wars on empty stomachs. Alauddin understood this better than most rulers of his time. He introduced sweeping economic reforms that would make modern economists raise their eyebrows. Price controls on grain, weapons, and warhorses. Government-run military markets, strict punishments for hoarding or price manipulation. Merchants hated him. But soldiers? They were fed, armed, and ready. He also built a network of supply depots and storage facilities stretching from the northwestern frontier all the way to Delhi. If the Mongols laid siege to the capital, the army could hold out for months without resupply. But defense wasn't just about walls and warehouses. Alauddin believed in forward defense, stopping the enemy before they even reached the heartland. He fortified Punjab and Sindh, the highways of Mongol invasion, with powerful garrisons. His best generals, Zafar Khan, Ulugh Khan, Ghazi Malik, commanded these frontier posts with total autonomy. They could respond instantly to threats without waiting for orders from Delhi. And to ensure he was never caught off guard, Alauddin created an intelligence network of spies and scouts monitoring every movement along the northwestern border. The stage was set, the machine was ready, and in 1299, it would be tested like never before. It started as a nightmare. Without warning, a Mongol horde between 50,000 and 60,000 strong, led by the fearsome Kutluk Khwaja, surged across the Indus River and pierced deep into Indian territory. They moved faster than messengers could ride. Villagers abandoned their homes in panic, streaming toward Delhi in terror. Alauddin received the news too late. By the time he knew, the Mongols were already camped just 10 kilometers from Delhi, near a place called Kili. 10 kilometers, that's a 2-hour march. Frantically, Aladdin summoned reinforcements from neighboring provinces and established his own camp at Siri, near the Yamuna River. His army swelled to around 70,000 troops, backed by 700 war elephants, massive beasts that could crush cavalry beneath their feet. The Delhi forces formed 3 wings. Nusrat Khan commanded the left. Zafar Khan led the right. Aladdin himself held the center, with elephants forming an impenetrable wall. Ulu Khan stood ready with reserve forces at the rear. Across the battlefield, the Mongols arranged themselves in their signature triangle formation. Kutluk Khwaja anchored the center, Iqbalak controlled the left, Tamar Khwaja the right. And hidden from sight, a 10,000-man ambush unit under Targi waited in silence. Both sides stared across the killing ground. Tension coiled like a spring. Then, everything went wrong. Aladdin gave explicit orders, "No one attacks without my command." But Zafar Khan, burning with warrior pride or perhaps overcome by the moment, ignored the order. He charged headlong into Iqbalak's wing without permission. It was exactly what the Mongols wanted. Iqbalak's forces turned and fled. It looked like victory. Zafar Khan and his men pursued for 55 kilometers, drunk on apparent success, completely severed from the main army. Then, the trap snapped shut. Targi's ambush force emerged from hiding and surrounded Zafar Khan's scattered troops. Thousands of Mongol horsemen closed in like wolves on wounded prey. Zafar Khan realized his mistake too late. He refused to surrender. With around 1,000 men, he made his last stand. They fought with desperate fury, killing approximately 5,000 Mongols before being overwhelmed. In the end, Zafar Khan fell in brutal hand-to-hand combat with Iqbalak himself. Only 200 of his men survived. News of Zafar Khan's death sent shockwaves through the Delhi army. Morale collapsed, fear spread. But the Mongols weren't celebrating. Their casualties were staggering. Kutluk Khwaja himself was wounded. His forces, though victorious in that engagement, were exhausted and battered. After days of tense standoff and sporadic skirmishes, Kutluk Khwaja made a decision: retreat under cover of darkness. Aladdin didn't pursue. He returned to Delhi and declared victory. Technically, he wasn't wrong. The Mongols had withdrawn. But the price had been steep, and everyone knew this was far from over. Because the Mongol warlord Dua Khan wasn't satisfied. Not even close. 4 years later, Dua Khan sent an even larger force, 120,000 cavalry, under General Targi straight toward Delhi. This time, Aladdin was caught off guard and undermanned. But he'd learned from 1299. Instead of meeting the Mongols in open battle, he fortified Delhi's defenses around Siri, using the Yamuna River as a natural barrier. His engineers dug trenches, built earthworks, and turned the ruins of old fortifications into strongholds. The Mongols laid siege. For 2 entire months they hammered at Delhi's defenses. But Aladdin's supply system held. His troops didn't starve. His walls didn't crumble. Finally, frustrated and unable to break through, Targi withdrew. Delhi had survived. Again. By 1305, the Mongols tried once more, sending 50,000 troops into India. But this time, Aladdin was ready. He dispatched 30 to 40,000 cavalry under Malik Nayak to intercept them. The result? A crushing Delhi victory. In 1306, Dua Khan launched one last desperate invasion. But Malik Kafur, another of Aladdin's brilliant generals, met them at the Ravi River near Nagaur and delivered a devastating defeat. The Mongol forces were shattered. And then, in 1307, Dua Khan died. A succession crisis erupted in the Mongol realms, plunging them into internal chaos. The annual invasions of India? They stopped, not temporarily, for decades. Let's zoom out for a moment and appreciate what just happened. While Europe, the Middle East, and China fell to Mongol conquests, the Delhi Sultanate stood firm. Not through luck. Not through divine intervention. But through strategic brilliance, economic discipline, and military innovation. Aladdin Khilji created one of the first professional standing armies in South Asian history. He revolutionized logistics, intelligence gathering, and forward defense. He turned refugees into assets and defeat into lessons. And most importantly, he understood that wars aren't won just on battlefields. They're won in granaries, supply lines, and the loyalty of well-fed soldiers. The Mongols were unstoppable until they met a kingdom that refused to stop preparing. So the next time someone says the Mongols were invincible, remind them about Delhi. Remind them about Alauddin Khilji. Remind them that sometimes, the greatest victories aren't the ones fought in open fields, they're the ones engineered in war rooms, marketplaces, and fortified frontiers. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, hit that subscribe button. Because history isn't just about who won, it's about how they won. And trust me, there are more untold strategies waiting to be uncovered. Stay curious, stay sharp, and I'll see you in the next one.